Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, it's a big weekend.
Wow.
It's America's birthday.
4th of July.
And Hollywood Barani's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, happy birthday.
I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Our 4th of July weekend wrestling inside his Fabulous Fridays begins now.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, welcome to another all new, well, depending upon when you're watching it, Wrestling Inside His Fabulous Fridays, at least as we premiere on July the 2nd. Dan Marty along with John Cena Sr. Johnny, we're all green this week, baby. That cash is flowing out of your pocket left and right, even into the lights.
Buddy, nothing but money. Go big or go home.
Well, we understand that on Sunday, July the 4th, we're going to be having some big announcements in regards to Back to the 80s WrestleFest Saturday night, November the 13th, from the historic Memorial Hall right down the street here in Melrose, Massachusetts.
Indeed, we are.
I think the fans are going to be frothing at the lips for this event once they hear about it.
All I can tell you is, having been in on the discussions, having seen what you're going to say and do and been part of it, do not, and I mean this, do not miss this.
Well, even the amount of tickets that were sold prior to the virus, when the event was originally slated, our biggest advance in company history with still 5 weeks to go. And you are a smart man. You know usually the most amount of tickets are sold in the final 3 weeks heading into the event. If we ever had that event when we were going to back in the spring of 2020, it could have been a big night. But what with the time we've had to try and pause, rewind, fast forward, and reflect, I think it's going to be even bigger and better. Because it's going to be our 20th anniversary, baby. And if we're going to have a 20th anniversary, I think one thing you and I can agree on, amongst our many disagreements, is that it's got to be big. It's got to be not just a show for fans to go to. It's got to be an event that they're going to remember for eons to come.
Go big or go home. And you know what? I hope you're going to have an anniversary cake there.
Push your face in. Then once you
Ham
pull it out,
Sagami.
we'll see if the...
Let me tell you, everybody talks about that, and I defy you or anybody. I say it's real, you say, and these other clowns, okay, whatever you say, you know what? I'm all done.
Well, you want to know what, Johnny? It's almost interesting. People who've moved on from your piece, and now they're talking about something a little different out in Las Vegas. Apparently, David Reese has been talking about investing in a gentleman's club called Reese's Pieces.
Only in Las Vegas, it wouldn't be the chocolate candy. It'd be candy.
Johnny, you want to talk about a couple of pieces of work. Your almost relatives are back in the news again, Nikki and Brie Bella. Video surfaced from when they were on E's television show, The Fashion Police, several years back, where they mocked the late, great Chyna, who I, to be fair, also thought was a nice person, but business-wise was a challenge to deal with. And they held up photos of her saying they didn't know if she was a man or a woman. Now, 8 years after the fact, Nikki's very apologetic towards Chyna and her family for these statements. I don't understand why it took 8 years for the apology to come.
Nor do I. All I can say is this, that if you're apologizing, I don't know how else to say this. What is it you want?
Yeah.
What is it you want? Why now? Why not after you did it, 2 years after, a year after, 6 months after, you realize you did the wrong thing? It wasn't part of a storyline. It wasn't it wasn't more like a shoot. Why did you do it? Why? I think you need to say why. Why you did it, we did it, why you said what you did, and now all of a sudden, why do I feel the remorse and the need to apologize? So what's in it for me?
Well, the late Joan Rivers was also part of the fun. She has now passed, so she can't apologize, but she said that it looked like Chyna's vagina had a penis during the same clip. So a lot of bashing went on Chyna on this episode, but let's flip the coin, Johnny. Let's say, a quasi-celebrity like the Bellas went on a television program like that, and they ran off the Bella's history a little bit, and they said, geez, Nikki, Brie, Bella, the mother, oh, geez, on a piece of paper, they look like a group of sluts trying to pile on to 6- and 7-figure men working for WWE. Do you think they'd want to wait 8 years for an apology?
You know, I always say this. Every time I said it last time, I'll say it again. The good Lord made a statement. What did he say? Before you try to take the splinter out of your brother or sister's eye, go home, look in the mirror, and take the beam out of your own. Talk about false things. Talk about things that aren't real. Talk about all the stuff we need to make us look good. Don't throw any rocks, ladies. Do not do that, because karma is a bitch.
Well, you know, it was hurtful to Chyna's family.
It was very hurtful. It was not necessary. You know, to
Granted,
come out.
she was alive when this statement was made.
I understand that.
Okay, all right.
And why on God's earth would you do this? It wasn't part of any storyline.
I think it was supposed to be, you know, slapstick, ha-ha comedy. Like I said, Joan Rivers was there talking about her female parts.
Well, if it was a Chyna roast, then I understand it. I apologize if it was a Chyna roast.
No, it
But
was
if
a show
wa-
called The Fashion Police. On
I
E!
understand
Oh,
that.
okay.
I understand that. But it wasn't a roast. It was just people making ludicrous, dumbass remarks. And you know what? God rest her soul. If somebody had made a comment about Rivers' family, she'd be all over like a duck on a June bug. The Bella's the same way. Wonderful kids, don't get me wrong. But if somebody had done that, I'm telling you, the mom would have been like, whoa, more TMZ. From an unknown source would come the words, right? You know what? I'm sorry. 8 years later, you're apologizing. You know what? You're begging for forgiveness from who? The young lady you're asking for an apology can't even hear you. She can't accept what you're asking for. What's done is done. Again, what are we looking for?
And she talked about what a great pioneer Chyna was for all the women in WWE, like she's now all of a sudden some kind of wrestling historian. Give me a break. I wonder what PR firm wrote that tweet for her.
You know what? Do me a favor. I have the utmost respect for both those young ladies.
No, I'm losing it.
The
but
family. No, but hear me out. But I think what you've done is you're degrading yourselves by what you're doing. You know what? You had a great run. You did what you needed to do. You got
for sure.
Yeah, but you got where you wanted to go. You know what? Let's leave well enough alone. There is life after professional wrestling. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I hope the board of directors, I hope Talent Relations says no to the return for the Bellas for WrestleMania, the next two.
Oh, that was also in the news that they continue to directly say they're coming back for those women's tag team titles. And they think the ratings are bad now.
You know what? Daniel Bryan's looking at moving on. The Bellas should look at moving on. It's done. It's over. You did well while you were there. You had a lot of people behind you, literally.
And in the front.
Oh, okay. But my whole thing is, you know what? Leave well enough alone. You want to help out? Come on back at WrestleMania, get your asses beat, and put over the young talent. Do what's right. Forget putting the belts on, because you're not going to draw 10 cents. Nobody gives a damn whether you win them or not, and what kind of storyline you're going to write. Who's going to want to watch it for 2 years? I'm being real, ladies.
Can we find Gilligan?
Who?
Gilligan.
Gilligan.
Put him on the 3-hour tour and have him
There you
just
go.
vanish for a while.
You know, I love those girls. I love those women, I should say. I have respect for the whole family. But there are some things I dislike, and I'm very vocal about it. I get in a lot of trouble sometimes for being vocal, but I'm saying it like I see it.
Well, it is what it is. Johnny, you want to talk about another disaster of a situation that took place right here in this studio. Very unfortunate. We had several days of tapings with the great Marty Jannetty. A couple of weekends ago, by the time this episode airs, the Friday and the Saturday, Marty was here. He was unbelievable. He was in great spirits. He was fun. He was engaging. He was interactive with the fans. And then what happened on that Sunday, fans, if you haven't seen it already, I made a video to try and explain it. We'll try and give you the Cliff Notes version. I guess the best way to put it would be that Marty showed up in no condition to perform. In an effort not to humiliate and embarrass him, we did not record anything until we spent the better part of 4 hours trying to sober him up a little. We taped a couple of episodes that were so-so. Then, because it was Father's Day and all of the people here at the studio were aghast at what showed up, they went home. So he had no technical help. So guess who had to do everything all on his own, include host? That would be this buffoon right here that actually wanted to try and do everything we could do, because again, you know, it's quite the investment to bring these talents in. Just as we were getting ready to go live for the autograph signing, the Make-A-Wish raffle, in the Hell in a Cell watch-along, Marty was gone again. So I panicked, not knowing what was going on. He lost his phone, so I had no way to call him. He wound up having a great soul, one of our great super fans. He said he needed to go to the store. Unfortunately, it was the liquor store. And Marty decided to have a few beverages unbeknownst to me before we went on the air live for the Hell in a Cell watch-along. And what turned into about a half an hour or so into it was a complete and utter disaster. For the first time ever, and this is coming from someone that dealt with the Sheik at his worst, first time I've ever snapped on the air, I got so angry. To the point where I took his envelope, so to speak, that he claimed he wasn't going to, he thought it was all, that I didn't want him to do the shows earlier in the day, not because of his level of sobriety, but because I didn't want to pay him. So I left the set, I went and got his envelope, and I hummed the thing. But you know what, right now we're getting a cue from the back fans. Take a brief time out, let that digest if you didn't see it, and we'll be right back with more here on Wrestling Insiders. Stand by.
WWE is coming home to Kansas City with Monday Night Raw. WWE is back with Monday Night Raw in Kansas City, Monday, July 26th. Tickets on sale now.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interviews on eBay with this brand new personally autographed WWE Royal Rumble 2021 11x14 poster signed by WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, his advocate Paul Heyman, and Kevin Owens. Reigns and Owens battled for the Universal title in a last standing match January 31st in the Thunderdome in Tampa. This limited edition collector's poster is number 31 of only 50 produced. Comes with WWE authentication hologram on the poster itself. Also comes with an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas and a bonus autographed 8x10 photo. Get this rare, awesome collectible for your man cave and help keep wrestling legends working now. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. Johnny, I'm telling you, baby, every time I see that Red Rose commercial, I think of our visits with Jack Sy and his little sidekick Kingston.
I love that.
I want some Chinese food, baby. I'm hungry. I'm just like the fans are going to be when they get that announcement Sunday about Back to the 80s with the superstars coming in. I want some Chinese food, Johnny. A little Red Rose. redrosema.com. Right down the block from us here in Main Street in Melrose. Great people. People that may have a little bit of the good stuff coming their way soon, from what I'm told.
Really?
But anyway, back to a man that we wish settled for Fabo Pop, Marty Jannetty. Johnny, you know, what it...
You know what? All I can say is this.
I was...
Marty was an outstanding performer. Marty Jannetty has a great history, has a great mind for this business. He went through a lot of shit. It's the only way I can say it on air. Unfortunately, Marty has had some surgery. Marty has had some unfortunate things happening in his life. The unfortunate part of a portion of this business are the demons that invade the individuals, some of them who are part of it. I can only imagine the pain and the suffering that Jannetty is going through with his 2 ankles. I can only imagine the disappointment and hurt he's going through with his mobile home being sold and now living, thank God his sister took him in a small bedroom. It's got to be degrading. It's got to be hurting. A man of this stature to be brought down to, kind of like the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik, who in my opinion will always be a superstar. Whatever happens, Sheiky baby, you'll be remembered not for the ankles, not for the wheelchair, the medicine. You'll be remembered for who you were, the best in the business when it comes to the villain, when it comes to the Sheik. People know, love that character. And
I
Marty
think he'll be
Jannetty,
remembered a little bit for the medicine.
What's that?
He'll be remembered a little for the medicine after Howard Stern.
well, but you know what? We all have
he had
things.
to be somebody to be remembered.
That's
for the
exactly
medicine.
right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I look at Marty and I say, you know what? Understand it. I'm not in his shoes. I have no idea why he did what he did or how he did what he did. You know, it's kind of the situation where you're on a diet and your friend brings you to a buffet and you say, nope, no, I can't. I'm just going to have a salad. Then he brings you a steak. It's protein, no big deal. Okay, next thing comes fried chicken, and you eat that. You're off the wagon. Somehow we fall. Why he fell that day, I don't know. Only Marty knows the answer to that. I am sure, knowing the wonderful human being that he is, that having heard what you said and what transpired, I'm sure there's some remorse.
Absolutely.
There has to be.
Absolutely.
There
And I
has
do
to
want to
be.
state that every conversation that we've had since has been positive. There was some pot stirrers on the internet. You know, there was another talk show that wanted us to hint, because out of respect to the real Marty, the person that I know is a great human being that right now is recovering from not 1 but 2 reconstructive ankle surgeries in 2021, lives in pain 24/7 from the abuse his body went through in the King of Sports, someone that has battled major concussion issues. I mean, that's why I can't be mad at the human being. I'm mad at the situation, obviously. And, you know, what turned into a fiasco and a waste of a day and lost time, similar to what happened in February at one point. But I cannot be mad at the human being because, again, he's a good man. He means well. He has a lot to contribute to professional wrestling in the right state of mind. He has a lot to contribute to life in himself in the right state of mind. And that's the Marty that I want to see every time we see him.
And he will, I really believe this, he will get to that point in his life where he wants to be who he was. That whatever the demons are, look, if Jake the Snake Roberts can do it, if Scott Hall can do it, you know, I can go on and on. If the Iron Sheik can do it, you continue to rattle these off. Marty is in a place now where it's difficult. It's difficult. And soon he'll find the spot, he'll find the help he needs, and he will be the man that we all know and love, that I loved when he was with Shawn Michaels. Those 2 guys were just crazy. I waited for that. So hats off, Marty. Things happen. We accept that things happen. None of us are perfect. It's unfortunate from what you say, the way it worked out, but it'll all be back soon. Take care, brother. Look forward to seeing you sometime.
Since I do respect your opinion, Johnny, I would say this. Under what conditions could we have the return of Marty?
I think like any other place.
Because I want to stress again how great Marty was on Friday and Saturday. We taped outstanding material for the fans. If we could just get that guy every day for every visit, we'd be golden. But now we have to have this in the back of our minds, and we can't risk scaring off the studio. Not that he scared the studio staff, but making the studio staff want to leave for the day.
Yeah,
and things like that. You know what I mean?
It becomes a point where, it's not professional anymore, and knowing Marty, the professionalism he brings to the business, or brought to the business, and still does, I'm sure people were fed up with that. They couldn't take it. I'm sure that they were back there going, what the hell are you doing?
It was a holiday. It was
Why are you
Father's
having
Day.
this?
Yeah.
We're knocking over this. We're knocking over that. And I'm sure he didn't even know he was doing it.
And
No clue.
The fires that I had to put out here at the studio after the fact, you
And I
can
can
only
believe that.
imagine.
They don't want him back, probably, only because
Well,
of
not
this.
exactly in those words, but, they want to have some conditions to it. So,
And I would agree. I would definitely agree to that. I think when you reach this point of falling into hell, that's the only word I can use, when you fall into hell like he's done, and a lot of other superstars have done, I think that you have to put stipulations on that. Vince McMahon, Cody Rhodes, Tony Khan, AEW, TNA, they'd all do the same thing. In order to get back in, show me you're clean. Show me you went to rehab. Show me you came out. Show me that you're not doing this anymore. The danger always exists. And I say this to everyone. The danger always exists that somebody's going to push that little button and you're going to fall off the wagon. The situation when that happens is getting right back on the wagon. And I think that's what happens. So I would think that whatever stipulations the studio wanted, I would think if I were the promoter, I'd say, show me proof. Have you gone through it? Are you clean, brother? Are you ready to do it? Are we not going to have any situations we're going to involve the audience or the people that are here? If I can be assured of that, then I think it's time to party with Marty.
I'll say this, and this irked me, because it did happen during one of the premiere chats. I guess a fan that wanted to be divisive goes, oh, well, you'll sit here and praise Marty Jannetty after what he did last week, but you'll bash Tony Atlas to no end. Well, I look at these as two very different situations, Johnny, I should say. With Marty, he's overcoming again, and there's plenty of photos of it on Marty's social media. He's recovering from 2 major reconstructive ankle surgeries this year. He's in pain 24/7 on top of a body that wrestled in this business since 1984. On top of that, he battles concussion issues. What Tony did was intentional, deliberate theft, taking cash money for a live event appearance, podcasts that he never did, in drawings we did one of the 2 drawings, I should say, and for a drawing. He's ignored dozens of texts and phone calls. That was done with intent because he has a partner in crime up in Maine that he thinks his $200 Joe Biden Chromebook is going to make the millions up there. And they did a live video on YouTube, on Facebook, that was viewed by 30 people. So I don't know how much success they're going to find up there with it. But I look at them as 2 different situations. That's why I am angry with Tony. And with Marty, I'm very angry at the situation. But I think the world of the human being, because I know what Marty can be when Marty is in a good place. I'd like to think I knew what Tony would be when Tony was in a good place, but...
I can only say this. I don't know Tony Atlas's side of the story. Not that I doubt yours, but there are 2 sides to every story.
Well, I was only giving him $55 apparently when he was coming down for 4 years.
Well,
so
that's okay.
that's a tough night to live on, I guess.
Well, but you know what? Knowing the gentleman the way I do, Tony Atlas, I've done a lot of shows with Tony. We've become very close friends. Something had to transpire for that type of situation to happen, because that's not Tony Atlas.
Well, if in reality he was only getting $55, I would have come once and never come again. So I'll give him credit as far as that goes. I wouldn't have waited 4 years after dozens and dozens and dozens of appearances. I wouldn't have gone on the air and said, every time I'm here, Dan Morella tries to offer me money in advance to try and help me with my mortgage and my bills since Monique has been in the hospital. I wouldn't have put that on video if I were him, if I was going to later blast the individual for robbing him. But I guess only Tony can answer that, not I.
Well, you're not going to like what I'm going to say.
All right.
I don't think this belongs on TV. I don't think what you and I are discussing, that's a private situation between you and Tony Atlas. I respect the both of you. I really do. But I don't think the fan base needs to hear what you're saying or what you're accusing Tony Atlas of. I'm not defending Atlas. I'm not defending you. I'm sitting here giving a fabulous opinion, in my opinion, okay? I think that we deal with Marty Jannetty. That was the gist. You brought in that the fans said, you'll talk about Jannetty, but bash Atlas. I don't think the fans know any more than I know the background with Tony Atlas. Maybe if I see Tony at a show, I'll ask him.
Well, I think the statement that he or whoever is handling his Facebook says it all.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something.
Not that
When
I
I
believe for a
first-
minute that Tony typed it, but
When I first started an account, let's say a Facebook account, I allowed somebody to do that for me. I all of a sudden began seeing stuff up there that John Cena Sr., Johnny Fabulous, never ever wrote. I never said it. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? I call up this girl, this woman who does this stuff. I said, what's going on here? She said, well, you're doing it. I said, no, I'm not. Come to find out, the person that I trusted had the passwords and was putting stuff up under my name. You, when we did the Twitter account, at least you took the picture. You said it was the real John Cena Sr., and it was legit all the way. So all I'm saying is this. As soon as I allow anyone to take control of my social media, I'm asking for trouble. Anytime I allow somebody to open that gate, I need to, and I say this as a friend to Tony Atlas, you need to read what's written. And if it isn't what you don't want said, then make sure that it doesn't appear. Because everything that appeared on that, I'm getting all these feedbacks. Why the hell are you saying this? Why are you doing that? And I'm sitting there with a couple of my wrestling friends in the business, and I'm going, do you ever hear me say this? No. Well, why? And if you've got somebody, whomever his partner is up there, that wants to be the exclusive to Tony Atlas, I'll tell you what, you and I have both been involved with what we call promoters who dance. Oh, you know, here's your 500.
that's kind. Yeah.
Yep, well, they dance, you know. I remember being booked, and you walk in, gee, Mr. Cena, you know, we paid your flight, you came down, we promised you this, we had a shitty crowd, I can only give you 100. Wait a minute, that wasn't what we agreed on. So, you know, all I can say is this. If somebody is trying to make a transaction or trying to get him closed in, trying to be the exclusive agent, I got to get all three stories here. I got to listen to it, and then, you know, as they say, there's yours, mine, and the truth.
Well, like I said, it's out there. Tony's statement that he put on Facebook is there, and then the things that I've said are
But maybe he
obviously
never
there.
put it out there.
Well, and that would be kind of sad. But I'll say this before I know we have to hit the break.
Yep.
In some of the little snippets that Tony's done, it appears that he's been maybe hitting the Fabo Pop a little too. And if that's the case, I worry about him because I've known Tony since 1993. I don't want to think negatively about him. I'd like to think I've extended the olive branch to him to come back. That doesn't mean I want to be screwed over financially, but it means, you know, if he can hold up his end of the bargain and we can have an adult conversation, I'd like to have him back in the studio.
That remains to be seen.
All right, fans, as we noted, we got to hit that quick timeout like he hits my Joe Ouellette. We'll be right back. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021. Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marotti.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It was all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now available on eBay. As the Demon, he became the first WWE Universal Champion at SummerSlam 2016. Here's your chance to own this limited edition collector's autographed art print, personally signed by Finn Balor, one of only 50 made, direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome collectible for your wrestling collection now. All right, Johnny, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders, the fabulous Friday nights, the culmination of our week of great interviews. As we noted, you're almost like the father figure when it comes to these talk shows. You kind of move the chess pieces sometimes into place and where they need to be. But there was one more thing I wanted to stress, and this really irritated me because, like I said, sometimes there are fans that think they are life friends of a lot of these wrestlers that they interact with on social media. But as you know, after that debacle we had with Marty during the live show, as soon as I had a chance to decompress at my desk, before I went home that night, I blocked that video so that no one could watch it, out of respect to the real Marty, the good human being that we know. Not to give them any name recognition, but there was this talk show out of New York that tries to do something similar to ours. They tried to play off of the issues we had with Tony a couple of months ago, but they actually reached out to me online, and they wanted the video to run on their show. I mean, are they out of their effing minds? Not only so here's where and this created in small, quick issue with Marty. But I said, you know, the fans and I were talking about it because I guess it was this talk show has nothing else to do but talk about others' talk shows, I guess. But so I made a remark like I said, you know, not only out of respect to the real Marty is it not going to be shown by me nor anyone else because unless, you know, we get hacked, no one else can access the video. I said, we just paid Marty what to us is a small fortune to come in. We're going to give them the footage for free to play on their show so they have some talking points? Give me a break. But what irked me was that some fan played it off to Marty like I was going to sell the video to the highest bidder. I just want to make it very clear. The video is not for sale, and the video is not going to air. So
You heard it from the mouth of the man who makes the decisions. If he says it's not for sale and it's never going to air, I trust him. And as far as the group in New York, you know what? The only reason you would need that video is to create controversy for bashing either MWF, Dan Marotti, or Marty Jannetty. Because when you show that type of thing, you get two types of fans that respond to it. Those that understand and those that go, okay, now let's crucify this guy, beat up this guy. You know what, guys? We're all professionals in this business. Why don't we just leave it alone? Why don't we take something negative and find a way to make it positive? You know why? We all want ratings. Well, you said it, I heard it, you ain't getting it, ratings ain't happening.
The only time I could ever see us using that, and I've said this to Marty, is if down the road, a few years from now, he gets himself in a Jake Roberts type position where he is doing great, where he is living life the way he should, and has made the quote-unquote comeback story of life. Then at that point, maybe you look back at some of the lows just to show people how great they're doing at that time. You know what I mean?
I would agree. They did that with Jake Roberts.
That's one thing.
They did.
But to try and air it a week later,
no.
Please.
It's a disservice to Marty Jannetty, a disservice to you, the MWF, Boston Wrestling, Dr. David Reese, and most importantly, the 95,100 people that pick on that site to look at what we have. It's a total disservice to them. It's called disrespect.
I don't know if it was more insulting or pathetic, or maybe a little of both.
Probably a little of both.
All right. Well, speaking of something that certainly was hard to see, very different than Marty, was a man that was going to be with us at the Back to the 80s WrestleFest at Memorial Hall in Melrose, November 13th. The video put up by the son of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. I'm not quite sure why they wanted to put that up, unless it was to maybe show, it wasn't explained, but maybe to show what is going on as a result of CTE and concussions. But obviously, Paul won't be with us November 13th. I can only hope at this point, based upon that one small minute of video, that, you know, Paul's day-to-day existence can be better than what we saw in a hospital gown, with a mustache and long hair and eating what looked like salt packets.
Well, he's eating pepper.
Pepper, is that what it was?
He ate his son said to him, he said, "Do you want some?" And he handed him the packets, and his son said, "Dad, you're giving me salt and pepper." And then Paul shook the packet, opened it, and dumped it in his mouth and started eating it. And his son said, "Dad, you're eating the pepper." And he asked him if he remembered wrestling, to which
he didn't even respond.
But there was no, it cut too soon. You know, I can only say this. I brought tears to my eyes, I'll be honest with you, because I sat in this very studio with Mr. Wonderful
More than
Paul
once.
Orndorff. Yep. And we
The
did
man's man and a good man.
beautiful interview with a wonderful human being. What a great person he is. You know, some of the fans say, I think everybody's great. You know, Don Quixote, no matter how bad things were, always saw the good in everyone. If people would do that, it'd be a beautiful world. But he's a great guy. And to see what I saw, reduced to a shaking hand, earring, long hair, mustache, I think what he's trying to say, his son, is even the biggest and the best can get sick. Even the biggest and the best are attacked by this disease of the brain, Alzheimer's, whatever it is. Please pray for Paul Orndorff. You know, there's no say, let's pray he gets better, because with the situation that I saw, I'm not a physician. Dr. David Reese would probably be better at this than I know he would. But it looks like it's downhill.
He looked like he was in some kind of a hospital gown, so I'm going to guess he's in a facility.
It's in assisted living. It looked like assisted living. And it can't get any worse. It can. It probably will. I don't know if his son, because I read all the comments, "Why are you doing this? Mr. Wonderful should be remembered for who he is." You know, that's true, but you also need to see the human side of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, to what happened to this man who was the man, who was denied several things in the WWF, WWE. You need to see this. There's a human side and a superstar side. And what we are now seeing is the frailty of the human being. What happens when we age and go the direction we're going to go. God has been good to some of us. God has been good to everyone, I guess. Just certain things befall us. God bless Paul Orndorff, certainly in my prayers. I know he's going to be missed. I wish he was in a state where we could do a quick Zoom with him at the anniversary, or even here on this show.
Like I said, at this point, I can only hope, you know, it doesn't get any worse than what we saw.
He looked pretty bad. To not even, "Do you know who I am, Dad?" "Yep, I love you, Dad." "I know." It was like the incoherency and the ability to try to reason was in and out. But then when he ate the pepper, I said, well, that he must have thought it was candy or whatever.
And maybe a wake-up call to those with CTE that have suffered major concussion issues over the years, or what maybe, unfortunately, will be the end for many of them.
Well, he's lost a lot of weight, Paul Orndorff.
A lot of weight, yeah.
So I don't think it's all concussions. I think as age advances, with the concussions that he's had.
He did have cancer, that's true.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of that is playing into what's happening. And if the cancer has reoccurred at any point, nobody knows what part of the body it's at. And plus, as age hits us, you know, Alzheimer's is a situation that strikes like an arrow in the dark. And Paul Orndorff is just such a Mr. Wonderful is wonderful. And I just hope his son and his family holds him in the esteem that he needs to be held in. No more videos like that unless they're necessary. Show us one with Paul laughing and smiling, even where he is now. And let's remember Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, the man that we know. And also thank you for letting us see the frailty in the human being. I think that's important. Enough's enough.
Well, fans, if you ever do want to enjoy the full-length Paul Orndorff studio shoot interviews we did, John and I and the Jackal did an individual, a long shoot with Paul, as well as the WrestleMania 1 roundtable, which was a lot of fun, which was the three of us with Orndorff, Bob Orton, and the Iron Sheik. They are available ad-free on patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Help keep wrestling legends working. The link can be found in the description box below. A lot we didn't get to cover this week. We will be back next Friday night, though, as things continue to be fabulous as the summer heats up in July. For Mr. John Cena Sr., I'm Dan Marati. Let us know what you think of this Sunday's July 4th announcements for the Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose. Happy 4th of July. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Sun Dome in Tampa, Florida, Wednesday, July the 2nd, 1986. In the opening contest, King Tonga beat Moondog Spot. Jim Neidhart with the win over Joe Murto, replacing David Sammartino. B. Brian Blair defeated Moondog Rex. Harley Race victorious over Brickhouse Brown, who replaced Scott McGee. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat beat Jake the Snake Roberts via disqualification. Mike Rotundo and Danny Spivey drew the Dream Team. The Haiti Kid with the win over Butch Cassidy. And in the main event, the Junkyard Dog defeated WWF Intercontinental Champion Macho Man Randy Savage via countout. If you were in Tampa Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep wrestling legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times